Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to share a story that might just change the way you think about love, self-worth, and healing. It's not always easy to talk about the moments when we feel broken, when we look in the mirror and question our value. But sometimes, it's in those moments that we begin to truly understand what healing really means. This is the story of Elara, a woman who spent her entire life trying to earn love, until one day she realized she didn't have to. I finally realized I don't need to earn love. My healing journey. The sterile scent of the hospital clung to Elara like a second skin, a constant reminder of the fragility of life, a concept she'd become intimately acquainted with far too early. But today, the scent held a different connotation. It wasn't just about sickness and mortality. It was about rebirth, about reclaiming the health she had almost lost. Not physical health, though the two were intertwined, but the health of her soul. Elara stared out of the window, the cityscape of sprawling Toronto, a hazy watercolor in the early morning light. 32 years old, and it felt like she was only now truly beginning to live. 32 years of striving, of proving, of desperately seeking validation in the eyes of others, all stemming from a core belief that she was inherently unworthy of love. A belief, she now understood, that had been meticulously constructed brick by painful brick during her childhood. Her therapist, Dr. Anya Sharma, had a way of cutting through the noise, of pinpointing the root of the problem with unnerving accuracy. Elara, she had said during their countless sessions, her voice gentle but firm, you are operating under the false assumption that you need to earn love. That you are only valuable if you are achieving, pleasing, and sacrificing yourself for others. Elara had initially bristled at the suggestion. It wasn't true. She loved her family, her friends, her partner. She enjoyed doing things for them. But as Dr. Sharma peeled back the layers, the truth became undeniable. Her entire life had been a performance, a carefully orchestrated act designed to elicit approval, to fill the gaping void within her that craved love and acceptance. She excelled in school, not because she genuinely loved learning, but because she craved the praise of her parents. She bent over backwards to accommodate her friends, even when it meant sacrificing her own needs because she feared their rejection. She stayed in a toxic relationship for far too long, enduring emotional manipulation and neglect, because she believed she didn't deserve better. The roots of this belief system lay deep in her childhood. Her parents, though not intentionally malicious, had created an environment where love was conditional, contingent upon her performance. Good grades were met with effusive praise, while mistakes or failures were met with disappointment, criticism, or even outright shaming. Her mother, a woman perpetually striving for perfection, projected her own insecurities onto Elara, constantly pushing her to be better, thinner, smarter, more accomplished. Her father, emotionally distant and preoccupied with his career, offered little in the way of affection or validation, leaving Elara feeling insignificant. As a child, she had internalized the message that she was not inherently worthy of love, that she had to earn it through her achievements and her unwavering compliance. This belief permeated every aspect of her life, shaping her relationships, her career choices, and her self-perception. It led to chronic anxiety, self-doubt, and a constant feeling of inadequacy. She was always striving, always pushing, always trying to be someone she wasn't, all in a desperate attempt to feel loved and accepted. The turning point came during a particularly brutal panic attack. Elara found herself gasping for air, her heart pounding in her chest, convinced she was dying. It was a wake-up call, a stark realization that she couldn't continue living this way. She was slowly killing herself, sacrificing her well-being on the altar of other people's approval. That's when she sought help. Dr. Sharma introduced her to the concept of self-compassion, of treating herself with the same kindness and understanding she would offer a friend. It was a radical idea, one that initially felt foreign and uncomfortable. But slowly, with Dr. Sharma's guidance, she began to challenge her negative self-talk, to question the validity of her limiting beliefs. She started to practice mindfulness, to pay attention to her thoughts and feelings without judgment. She learned to identify her triggers, the situations and people that tended to exacerbate her anxiety and self-doubt. She began to set boundaries, to say no to requests that drained her energy or compromised her values. This was perhaps the most challenging part of her journey. Setting boundaries meant risking disapproval, facing conflict, and potentially losing relationships. But she realized that true connection couldn't be built on a foundation of self-sacrifice. It had to be based on mutual respect, honesty, and authenticity. As she started to prioritize her own needs and well-being, she discovered a newfound sense of peace and empowerment. She began to reconnect with her passions, to pursue activities that brought her joy and fulfillment, not because she thought they would impress others, but because they nourished her soul. She took up painting again, something she had abandoned years ago because she felt she wasn't good enough. She started volunteering at an animal shelter, finding solace and purpose in caring for abandoned animals. She even started writing, pouring her thoughts and feelings onto the page, without worrying about whether anyone would ever read them. Slowly, she began to cultivate a relationship with herself, a relationship based on self-acceptance, self-compassion, and self-love. She started to see her worth not in her accomplishments or her ability to please others, but in her inherent humanity, in her unique qualities and gifts. She realized that she was already worthy of love, simply because she existed. She didn't need to earn it, to prove it, to strive for it. It was her birthright. The journey wasn't easy. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, and old patterns that resurfaced. But each time, she reminded herself of how far she had come, of the progress she had made. She learned to forgive herself for her imperfections, to embrace her vulnerability, and to trust her own inner wisdom. And as she healed, her relationships began to transform. She attracted people who valued her for who she was, not for what she could do for them. She ended the toxic relationship and found a partner who loved and supported her unconditionally. She even started to mend her relationship with her parents, setting clear boundaries and communicating her needs assertively. She realized that they were doing the best they could with what they had, and that their actions were not a reflection of her worth. Standing at the hospital window, Elara felt a profound sense of gratitude. She was grateful for the challenges she had faced, for the lessons she had learned, and for the opportunity to heal. She was no longer the anxious, insecure, and people-pleasing woman she once was. She was strong, resilient, and self-assured. She knew that the journey of self-discovery was a lifelong process, but she was no longer afraid. She was ready to embrace the future, to live authentically, and to love herself unconditionally. She had finally learned that she didn't need to earn love anymore. She was already worthy. Just then, a nurse entered the room, a warm smile on her face. "Elara, your sister is here to see you, and the baby is awake." Elara smiled back, her heart swelling with joy. Today was the day she would meet her newborn niece, a tiny, innocent being who was already worthy of all the love in the world. And Elara knew, with unwavering certainty, that she would do everything in her power to ensure that her niece grew up knowing that she never had to earn love, that she was perfect just the way she was. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with pain and uncertainty, but it had led her to this moment, to a place of peace, self-acceptance, and unconditional love. And for that, she was eternally grateful. The air in the room seemed to lighten, filled with a sense of hope and new beginnings. Elara took a deep breath, ready to embrace the next chapter of her life, a chapter written not from a place of fear and striving, but from a place of love and authenticity. She walked towards the door, a radiant smile illuminating her face, a testament to the transformative power of self-love. The hospital, once a symbol of sickness and mortality, now felt like a sanctuary, a place where she had been reborn, a place where she had finally learned to love herself unconditionally. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the city, a promise of a brighter, healthier future. For Elara, the journey had just begun, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead her. She thought about Anya's words echoing in her mind. Elara, healing isn't a destination, it's a lifelong dance. And so, she prepared to dance. The subsequent years brought their own set of challenges, of course. Healing, as Dr. Sharma had wisely pointed out, wasn't a linear process. There were days when the old patterns resurfaced, when the familiar voices of self-doubt crept back in. But Elara had developed the tools to navigate these moments, to challenge the negative thoughts, and to reconnect with her inner strength. She continued to prioritize self-care, making time for activities that nourished her mind, body, and soul. She meditated daily, practiced yoga regularly, and spent time in nature whenever possible. She also continued to see Dr. Sharma, not because she felt she needed constant therapy, but because she valued the ongoing support and guidance. Dr. Sharma served as a sounding board, a trusted confidant who could help her process her experiences and stay on track. One of the biggest challenges Elara faced was learning to forgive her parents. She realized that they had been products of their own upbringing, that they had passed down the patterns of conditional love and perfectionism that they had inherited from their own parents. It wasn't an excuse for their behavior, but it helped her to understand it, to see them as flawed human beings who were doing the best they could. Forgiveness didn't mean condoning their actions, but it did mean releasing the resentment and anger that she had been carrying for so long. It was a process that took time and effort, but it ultimately freed her from the shackles of the past. As she continued to heal, Elara felt a growing desire to share her story with others. She wanted to help other people who were struggling with self-doubt, anxiety, and the belief that they had to earn love. She started by sharing her experiences with friends and family, offering support and encouragement. She then decided to create a blog where she could write about her journey, share her insights, and connect with a wider audience. To her surprise, the blog quickly gained a following. People resonated with her honesty, her vulnerability, and her message of hope. She received countless emails and messages from people who were inspired by her story and who were finally starting to believe that they too were worthy of love. Encouraged by the positive response, Elara decided to take her work to the next level. She enrolled in a coaching program and became a certified life coach, specializing in helping people overcome limiting beliefs and cultivate self-love. She started offering individual coaching sessions, group workshops, and online courses. She also began speaking at conferences and events, sharing her story with larger audiences. Elara found immense joy and fulfillment in helping others. It was a way for her to give back, to pay forward the support and guidance she had received. It also helped her to deepen her own healing, to reinforce her own beliefs, and to stay committed to her own self-care. Years passed, and Elara's work continued to grow and evolve. She became a sought-after coach, speaker, and author. She published a book about her journey, which became a bestseller and was translated into multiple languages. She created a thriving online community, where people from all over the world could connect, support each other, and learn together. But despite her success, Elara never forgot where she came from. She remained grounded, humble, and deeply grateful for the opportunity to make a difference in the world. She continued to prioritize her own well-being, knowing that she couldn't pour from an empty cup. She maintained healthy boundaries, surrounded herself with supportive people, and continued to pursue activities that brought her joy and fulfillment. And most importantly, she never stopped loving herself unconditionally. One day, Elara received a phone call from her mother. Her mother's voice was hesitant, filled with a mix of emotions. "Elara," she said, "I've been reading your book." Elara held her breath, unsure of what to expect. "I understand now," her mother continued. "I understand the pain I caused you." "I'm so sorry." Elara's eyes filled with tears. It was the apology she had longed for so many years. "It's okay, Mom," she said, her voice trembling. "I forgive you." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, her mother spoke again. "I love you, Elara," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I've always loved you. I love you too, Mom," Elara replied. And in that moment, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. Elara had finally healed her relationship with her parents, not by changing them, but by changing herself. She had learned to love them unconditionally, despite their imperfections. And in doing so, she had freed herself from the last vestiges of the past. Elara continued to live a life filled with purpose, passion, and joy. She was a beacon of hope for others, a living testament to the transformative power of self-love. She knew that the journey would continue, that there would always be challenges to face and lessons to learn, but she was ready. She was strong, resilient, and self-assured. She was loved. And she was worthy, always. The screen faded to black, the final words resonating in the silence. You are worthy. Believe it. Thank you so much for listening to Elara's story. If you've ever felt like you had to earn love, prove your worth, or hide your true self just to be accepted, please know this. You are already worthy. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to perform. Just by being here, by being you, you are enough. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And if you're on your own healing journey, feel free to subscribe for more stories like this, because none of us have to walk this path alone. Until next time, be kind to yourself. You are worthy. Always.